there is a lot of speculation about who the wise men, the kings, actually were. And I think one very credible explanation is that they were from Babylonia, and they were part of a group of people who were a cross between astrologers and astronomers, who looked to the stars to discern the will of God. They looked to the stars with a very particular purpose, to discover what God wanted them to do with their lives. So the star they perceived to be a sign from God to show them his will and to lead them to Jesus in the manger at Bethlehem. And to do that, they set off on a journey, and it was very definitely a pilgrimage. Whenever we go on a journey with a desire to come closer to God, to discern the will of God, that journey, however long or short, is a pilgrimage. And my spiritual director, before I set off on the pilgrimage to Santiago, reminded me of the 4 stages of pilgrimage, certainly in medieval times. And the first is the call to discern the will of God, to go on the journey. The second is the leaving of home, the leaving of our comfort zones and everything that goes with that. The third is the journey itself and the encounters that we have with other people and with God. And the fourth part is the arrival. And for the wise men, for the Magi, there certainly were those elements of pilgrimage. The first part, the call. The call came for them from the star. And lots of people would have seen that star at the time. Oh, that's a nice star. But they discerned, they recognised that it was displaying God's will for them to follow, to go to Bethlehem. And they said yes to that call from God to journey with him. And the second part, they left behind their palaces, their comfort zones, and were prepared to leave behind all the comforts that they had. Whenever I take people on pilgrimage, I will say, remember the word grim is in the word pilgrimage. And that can certainly be true with the journey that they would have made, the third part of pilgrimage. Remember, there is a poem by T.S. Eliot called The Journey of the Magi, and that captures some of how the journey would have been difficult. And then the arrival, and they went to where, understandably, you would think to find a newborn king, to the palace. But Jesus wasn't there. He was in the manger. And they went home a different way. And it will be wise for us to follow the example of the Magi and try and discern the will of God for us each day of our lives. So again, the first part is the call. But do we really believe that every day of our lives, God is calling us to journey with him? Very important. Every day, an opportunity that God gives us, an invitation that God gives us. And are we prepared to make time and space in prayer to discern what that call is for that particular day, and to say yes to that invitation to journey with God? And the second part, are we prepared to leave old ways behind? Whenever God calls and calls people to something new, he also calls us to leave certain things behind, our comfort zones. Are we prepared to get out of our comfort zones, even out of our own spiritual armchairs that are very comfortable, to get on the road and to journey with God? And when we're on the journey, are we going to be open to encounter with God and with other people? When I go on holiday, I love to be anonymous. I will sit by the pool, read the book, will smile and say hello to people, but I'm usually with my friends. But when I'm on pilgrimage, that's different. Then I will make a big effort to get to know other people and to be open to encounters with other people, and through that to be open to encounters with God. Are we prepared at arrivals where God wants to take us to be surprised? The danger is, if we're getting a little bit older, to think, I I know what, I've seen this before, it'll be this, it'll be that. Are we prepared to be surprised, just as the Magi were when they found baby Jesus in the manger? We begin this new year of 2017, we're 1 week in, and this Feast of the Epiphany is a wonderful opportunity for us to be like the wise men and to try and discern the will of God for us in our lives. And my dad very wisely said, not long before he died, I just want what God wants.